what a nice PC we have here. Fun fact, it's actually my first gaming PC. It is a pre-built from Digital Storm, and it's actually about to turn 5 years old. And then about 3 years ago, I did a benchmark testing to see the capabilities that my GPU still had in the store for it. So being 3 years ago, my PC would be only 2 years old, but now that it has been roughly another 3 years in advance, well, now it's not that my PC's dying, it's that my PC's definitely getting its noticeable aging. So today's video, we're going to be testing that, the benchmark, and we're also going to be testing how well this GPU is doing. Everything else we're going to see as well too. So that means SSD performance as well as the CPU performance. After being 5 years old, a nice pre-built gaming PC during its time being rather overkill for the budget user, hopefully it's still capable of producing decent data. Okay, so first thing we're going to be doing is running what's known as the Fermark bench test or benchmark. They're both benchmarks. It's just this one's kind of like a GPU stress test. The other one's kind of an optimal GPU test to see how well it's doing in general. Here we have what's known as a GPU stress test. So currently I am running a NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2070 and it's running at 42 degrees Celsius, which means technically it's running around 108 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not the best. It could be worse because it's definitely been worse. It's supposed to run around like 26, but it's also using 15% power, 16. It's not horribly bad, but it could be worse. You know, it's definitely been worse. It's definitely been overclocked to the point where like the GPU you could hear, because it is a turbine GPU, meaning that the turbine is sucking in air to blow on the GPU chip to then cool it off. What we're gonna do is test it and see how well it does. All right, so GPU stress testing. So it just gives you a caution saying that, hey, there's a possible overclock setting that could be inactivated, insufficient power supply, but there's just a bunch of things. So we're just gonna go ahead and do this. So far, okay, see now you can definitely see on the bottom, it's literally jumping up to 73 degrees Celsius within 5 seconds. And it keeps on climbing, keeps on climbing. It says the max is 79 degrees Celsius. I know my GPU definitely runs around like 86 degrees Celsius, which is about 190 degrees Fahrenheit, which is rather warm. It's not supposed to do that. I don't know why it's done that. This is the reason why I prefer a blower system GPU rather than a turbine GPU. And right now it's at 87 degrees, 88. That's pretty bad. You can kind of hear it. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let you hear it a little bit. Can you hear that? It's getting louder, but it's not like super loud. Max, it hit 89 degrees Celsius. So as you can see, it's running over 7,500 frames in the top left here. And it's been going on for only over a minute. Frames are at 119 FPS, which honestly is not that great. For a 2070, it should be running probably around 130, 150 FPS. But as you can see, it's overheating quite a lot. And now it's going to start kicking in the fan, which I'm actually about to show you guys right now. You might be able to hear it, but it is running a little bit harder than what it should be, but this is not how it runs during gameplay of like Modern Warfare or Fortnite or Apex Legends. It doesn't run like this, but it still does run quite heavy. I want to show you real quick. So I said 7,000 frames beforehand, but it looks like it's running close to 20,000 frames, or that's how much it's ran so far. After 2 minutes and 40 seconds, still running about 120 average FPS, which is not the best, but it could be worse. But as you can see here, this is where it gives you all the data. The core is running at about 1300 megahertz. You got about 88 degrees Celsius on average, 94% wattage use. Fan is running at 52%, which means that fan basically is saying that, hey, I'm running at 52% capacity. And you never want it to run full, because that's just when things start to break. That's when things start to, over time, kind of fail. So you always want to get it to like no more than, I would say, 60 to 70% full capacity of the fan usage, and that is the turbine or even the fans actually. So what I'm actually going to do now is called a heaven benchmark. So this is basically just saying how well everything is doing with the GPU. So we have right now the APIs and DirectX 11, which, you know, that's pretty normal. Quality is high, which that's, you know, just it's gonna be good. You're gonna see great graphics. By the way, I want to say this in retrospect, any GPU that has been here since like 2019 and above, it's going to be insane graphics, especially for a gaming PC or even a workstation. The only difference really that you're kind of figuring out is the fact of how well does it perform in microscopic detail, which most people can see. Actually, it's not just a trained eye like myself, but you just have to be aware that it's not gonna be like super bad at all. Like I have a 2070, it is 5 years old of a GPU. Matter of fact, it could be even 6. Now we're at a 40 series, and I guarantee you that following year, even this year in 2024, there's going to be a 50 series, 60 series, 70 series, whatever, keep going on, get more expensive, better technology. Tessellation, we're just going to have that disabled. We don't need that. Stereo 3D, we don't need that. Multi-monitor, we definitely don't need that. Anti-aliasing, that's basically like saying that it's going to be super rendered in. We don't need that. I don't even use that for games. Full screen, system resolution, awesome. I'm going to go ahead and put this at 1920 by 1080 because that's just what I run it on. Now we're going to go ahead and run this guy. I did this once before, and this was the one that I did 3 years ago. So it could look the same, it may not look the same. I'm not 100% certain. When I got this, I actually had the Digital Storm employee help me out with this. Yeah, see, and this is what I mean. To me, like, this still looks absolutely insanely good. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. So this is not the quality I'm actually seeing. It's being recorded through an OBS software, so naturally it won't look as good, but this is what I'm actually seeing. And it honestly doesn't look like anything's changed. I mean, I think there is just a very microscopic, minuscule of a second kind of lag, but it's nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, this is 1920 by 1080. It's still doing really well. Matter of fact, this thing says it's running at, in the top right corner, about 260 FPS. That is what this GPU should run on average. But as you can see, when it was doing the stress test, just at normal settings, it wasn't doing that. It was going about 120, which I still personally hate. But when you have, clearly there might be something wrong there. It still says it's running about 85 to 88 degrees Celsius, which still is not good. It should be running no more than probably about 50 to 60, maybe 70 as a max. As you can see, it still runs really well. I can't even imagine what a 4090 would do. But again, as you can see, it's really nice. This GPU still works. Matter of fact, this whole PC somehow still works. Now, since we've kind of leveled out the GPU, let's go ahead and go towards how the actual PC is running. Because this one, I'm actually curious myself. And here we have the actual performance of not only the CPU, the memory, which would be the RAM, the disk, obviously the hard drive, and then we have Ethernet and then the GPU. And as you can see, the GPU just keeps on climbing for absolutely no reason. Now, one thing is to mention, I am using OBS to record most of this, so it kind of is intertwining that as well as everything else. Now, I will say my overall performance of this gaming PC, the CPU and everything still handles well. The RAM, it has its moments. I still have that black screen from when you guys may have seen a long time ago. But as you can see, nothing is really doing horribly bad. Now, considering when it does gameplay, I would assume it's probably going to be pretty high, but this is just normal standstill play. My memory's a little bit high, as you can see here, but that's probably just because I'm streaming. So now going back to naming off my PC and what it is, I can tell you this. This thing is not doing well if I try and stream and if I try and game. It just overloads its capacity, overclocks itself, and just does not do well. So guys, in overall performance, this PC obviously is not doing as well as when I shot this video the last time. But when you have a gaming PC, when you have all these different mechanical parts, that's not something that's going to be like a known pre-build of saying like, hey, I just bought it from Best Buy. More than likely that's going to happen. And I say this in good reason, because when you buy a pre-built gaming PC from whatever brand, they are going to use PC parts that really are meant to do this exact thing, so that way you keep on buying or upgrading, and that's the market. Something flaws, you buy a new one, you upgrade, and you keep on going. It's exactly the same position that I'm in right now. I've had a PC, now I can either upgrade or I can dismantle it and kind of repair some things, but obviously this PC is not worth the $2,000 that it was when I first bought it. So a little surprise, there will be a chance of me building my very own gaming PC. But that's just all I will say for that. You have to stay tuned, subscribe if you're new. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy this video, and if you want something more with this PC or something more in tech, let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you very, very soon. Goodbye.